Excuse me. I've been sent here to wet nurse some officer by the name of Patterson. You have any idea where he might be?
I'm Lieutenant Patterson.
Specialist Taylor reports, ma'am. Sorry.
We are talking Tour of Duty, Season 2, Episode 15, the penultimate episode to Season 2. And this one guest stars Angela Bassett, who goes on to have a little bit of a mini arc in this series, and actually follows on from a plotline that was from the previous episode. The previous episode we met a CIA agent called Doyle, and in that episode he was trying to recruit Anderson, but in this episode he runs across our squad and is carrying these kind of exotic guns, and you know, he gets the kind of the squad to carry them back to base, and in the meantime we kind of they've lost a couple of men in doing so, and then we have this kind of situation where Angela Bassett is a lieutenant. She's one of the few kind of black female lieutenants in the army at this time. And she's investigating kind of like criminal behaviour within this kind of particular kind of base within the army. We're introduced to a character called Smitty, who we've heard mentioned a couple. His name's been said a few times, but you know, he's just been promoted to a sergeant, and he sees Doyle doing something illegal and is ultimately killed for it. So we have this kind of rogue CIA agent essentially doing kind of illegal business, and really he's now kind of having a kind of to deal with that. And then we have ultimately Anderson, who is kind of known him for some time. We've got Goldman, who ends up kind of going in a helicopter and has to kind of fly it. And then we have Taylor starting this kind of friendship with Angela Bassett's character. So let's talk about this episode. So this is one of the few episodes which does have story elements from previous ones. For the most part, Tour of Duty tends to be very episodic, with very little carryover from previous episodes. It's one of my frustrations that we end up introducing many characters in this series and then they're never seen again. But this one, we do have a couple of kind of recurring characters. As I say, we've had Doyle from the previous episode, and Angela Bassett's character we'll see again in you know, in upcoming episodes. So yeah, so this one does have a little bit more continuity than most, and really it's not really about the kind of like the VC, the NVA, the Viet Cong, anything like that. It's more about the crimes within the kind of like this that is being perpetrated by Americans, in this case Doyle. And obviously he has kind of connections within the CIA, which makes him kind of dangerous. So it's, you know, it's kind of like an interesting and somewhat kind of like more internalized episode within the kind of the US kind of military. There are some kind of like somewhat humorous moments to a degree. We have Taylor kind of flirting with the Angela Bassett character, and you know that's kind of setting up for another romance. Again, you know, the execs of this show wanted to inject more female characters into the show to try and attract a more of a kind of a female audience. So we've had a variety of kind of female characters, and Alex Devlin, her and kind of Goldman have split up at this point, so she's not in this episode all that much. Although McKay has decided he's going to have a go now because they've sort of split up. So it's not super heavy action in regards to kind of gunfights and stuff. We get very little kind of like things like shootouts and stuff in this episode. I kind of would have liked had it introduced the character of Smitty a little bit more. You know, as I said, you hear his name every so often. They'll kind of like refer to Smitty, get the radio, but you never really had a kind of any. I don't even think it was the same actor, if I'm honest. But you know, again, he gets killed, and you know, the squad is kind of acting like they could have known him, but we've never seen him, and that's the problem. I think these probably a a critique of this show is I don't think they ever really planned that far in advance. So otherwise you could sow the seeds and it would be that much more dramatic. But at least we do get some continuity, as I've mentioned, within the kind of the surrounding episodes. But it's a good kind of like mystery to a point, actually, and I really enjoyed Angela Bassett's character here. You can see why she's gone on to become like a real kind of heavy hitter in regards to becoming a star and her acting ability, because her scenes with Taylor are very kind of well done, and I enjoyed their kind of rapport, and as I say, that kind of filters on a little bit. I mean, how many times have we had to have it going to slightly negative again? Like Anderson, he sees someone from his past, and they either turn out to kind of be somewhat not as altruistic as he was expecting, or they get killed. They do tend to repeat story points in this series, or have very similar. Oh look, it's another person that Anderson is known from his past that has this kind of like agenda that will become kind of apparent as the kind of the episode progresses, and we learn that he used to be a good soldier. I mean, we've seen it a lot. I liked Goldman in this episode. The scene where he's having to kind of fly the copter is quite a good scene, with the McKay having to kind of like tell him what to do. But really it doesn't add much to the actual kind of story, I will say. For me, it's an interesting episode, and I appreciate the fact that this one does have a little bit more continuity with the kind of the series at large, and has a little bit more of a kind of sort of ramifications for it. And to be fair, see, the next episode will have as well, to a certain degree. So it's a pretty good episode. I don't think it's a particularly memorable episode outside of the reason for having Angela Bassett in there, who was a pretty good character, I must say. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10, this one. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.